Hello everybody and welcome back to Sandy Bay. We're just finishing off the subsoiling in field number 13. This has obviously been a pretty big job, but luckily this part of it is now over. The other part of it is planting it, and well, again, it's not too far off. It's probably going to take most of this episode to do. So let's just put the stands down here. Technically we don't have to do it until we actually get to the yard, but we might as well just do it now so we don't have to jump out of the tractor again. Although we are going to have to remove the 3-point linkage. We can at least lower it first. Okay, so off we go. What we're going to do today is, well, first of all put this back, then we're going to tidy up a few vehicles, and then what we really need to do is put the fence around the bee mod, if that makes sense. In the cow field we need to sort of divide the bee complex away from the cows. The cows don't venture up that far anyway, so we're not really keeping them out, it's just it looks a bit neater if we do divide it off. So that's the plan, and that mod is by Alex 2009. It is available on Mod Hub, and I haven't used it yet, but it does look to be a very useful and well-made mod. But of course we're going to try it out and we'll be able to see exactly what it's like. So the Coon Bear Wrapper has been returned. That wasn't actually ours, it was leased. We are going to keep the telehandler though, that's leased too. And of course the spraying tractor. I think really it is best to keep some of the stuff which we lease, because if we just keep returning it and then we need it again, we have to pay the one-off fee for taking it out. If we just kept it, if it was a vehicle with engine hours, then obviously you only get charged for the amount of time you use it. If it's an implement, you only get charged for the amount of time you store it or use it. So having to take it out again is not really worth it. Okay, so it's going to go over here. I think the best thing to do is just to drop it off in one of these sheds over here, and then we can obviously leave it. And then we might as well just sort of teleport over to the cow field. It's literally just behind here anyway. Lower it down and we're done here. Right, so if I just go to this page, we can see the cow field is there, cow pasture, and yes, no cows here. Look at the bees, they're flying everywhere. There could even be another beehive. It's very close to being ready. Oh no, it is ready. Good. That means we get more honey. And yes, the usual flick it across the field and flick it into there, yep. Let's just put it in here properly. There we go. So there is space for just one more. Why is there this? Why is this in here? A section of a beehive. Weird. Looking good, and of course looking good as well. 74, both equal. What were the chances of that? I suppose we did take the pallets off at the same time. Anyway, let's go into the placeable section and try and place some fences. Now, like I said, I've never used this before, so it's going to be a learning curve. Where is it? Where is it? I definitely downloaded it. But in my haste, I forgot to enable it in the main menu. I have done it now, here it is. We have got a vehicle gate, fence door, fence left and fence right. So it's going to be a bit of a mixture here, because what we're going to have to do is, well, it's going to be a few of them, fence posts on the corners, and of course we are going to have a fence door as well. We'll start off with fence left. Let's just whiz over here. And it's going to be roughly about here. This should be okay. Once we've got it in line, which needs to try and maintain that line, otherwise it's going to look a bit scruffy. Get as close to the trees as we can do. And yeah, there is the potential here to mess up. Hopefully I don't do too badly. Okay, looks good. You can sort of see when we're in line, and that isn't too bad. Now where should we have the gate? You can see where I've been driving before. So probably in this area. Right, so I think about here. We're going to have to put a post in. Yes, we are defaulting to my standing position, which is just over here. Let's just walk over. We'll inspect what we've just done to make sure it's okay. It should be. They may be a little bit skew with, but actually that looks okay. Good. You can walk around the side, but that's not really the point. It's just to divide stuff off. So what we need to do now is put the gate in, which is actually the vehicle gate. There are two. So we need to make sure we put the right one in. This is the fence door, this is the vehicle gate. So it does come with its own fence post, which is quite nice. Obviously we do have an extra fence post if we need it. But about there, hopefully. It's so hard to see. There we go. That is going to be good enough for our vehicles. Hopefully we can open this. I think we can do. Maybe it's automatic for a vehicle. I'm not too sure. It has to open. Let me just try this. Luckily the joystick is set up again. We have to be able to get vehicles out of here. Aha! Perfect. Really good. Except they are opening into the ground, but still, it works good enough. So, all we have to do now is put the extra fences in and then we'll be done. I think the best thing to do here is to turn the engine off. Otherwise it's going to be droning away for the rest of this episode. So back into Placeables and then go on to fence left. Actually, we don't need to have the extra post here. Unfortunately, you can't remove it. It's part of the gate. So we're just going to have to put this next to it. Flush. Down there. And another one here. Really concerned about not getting this lined. Now the issue here is the field is actually changing height. It's a bit downhill. But luckily, it does seem to be adjusting quite well. Looks fairly natural, that. I don't think we need to take up any more of the field, so what we need to do now is, of course, put the corner in. Let me just rotate the camera. A few people were asking how I did this before. It's just basically the arrow keys. When you look at it from this angle, you can see I've sort of gone in and then come out again. But it doesn't really matter. It's good enough. You can see the worker over there still going strong. Right, so that should work okay. Hopefully. Now, let's continue. Oh, look at that. Almost, but not quite. Well, we will adjust it. It needs to look a bit better than this, so let me just buy that again. Hopefully, this time I'll do it properly. It does seem to be, if you just zoom in as far as you can do, always is the best way of seeing. Of course, it does have to be in line as well. So I would say, roughly there. Pretty good. I'll continue down to there off screen, and I'll see you in a second. Here we are in the bottom corner, just finishing off, and I think we should be okay with the spacing. All we have to do is put an extra fence post in when we get to here. So we could have it going through that fence, but it's going to look ridiculous. So I think we're just going to have to end it a bit short, unless we do just bend it out slightly. So, oh, look at that. How did I do that? Weird. Let me fix this. You see, from here, it looks fine. But when you go around, you can see where the problem is. This one here. With that done and out of the way, let's put the final post in. I've just randomly entered a post into the middle of the field. Oh joy. So things have gone from bad to worse, but actually it doesn't matter too much. We can just very simply sell this again. We've lost a few pounds by doing that, but it's still going to work okay. So, with the end post in, let me go back into the garage and we will sell it. It's going to be one of these. Look at this. How did I do that? That would be a shock for a combine driver, happily going along harvesting the field, suddenly come across a random fence post. But there we go, it is done. It is finally divided away from the rest of the field. So what we have to do now, how is that still like that? Extra fence post will fix this. There we go. Okay, so it's done. Not the best work ever, but it's DIY. We're no professional. Let's put the tractor and the trailer back into this complex here. That's where it belongs. And then if there's something else we can do here, obviously we can do that now before we do anything else. But I think really, that is everything. All I wanted to really do was divide it off, and we have done that pretty well. We're not trying to keep the cows out, we're just trying to make it look a bit neater. And now we have a natural edge here. This can be where we put the trailer. We can just keep filling this up as we go. Now there are approximately 11 episodes left, I think, 10 or 11, before we go to multiplayer. So it's plenty of time to be able to fill this trailer. We should be able to do no problem at all. We'll turn it off there, and that is everything done. Only issue is that might keep triggering the gate, but we should be okay. It's all good in here. Okay, so let me just teleport over to the lorry, which is just here. The telehandler is directly behind us. Oh, is that finished? Wow. There is a tiny bit left to do, which is at the top end of the field. This bit here has to be done by us. We'll do it in a minute or two. The reason for this is because when it gets to the other end, it just decides to give up. And, well, every time I have to just keep restarting the worker, which isn't really worth it, when we could just do it ourselves much quicker. Off we go, back to the farm. The way out is here. Now we do have, as you know, another farm. We have two farms here, but the other farm at the moment is fairly pointless to us because it doesn't really have any fields, so there is no real reason for us to be there except for doing the honey milk and of course selling honey milk or the honey milk itself. So it is kind of surplus to requirement, which is a bit of a shame really, because it is nice to be over that side of the map as well. But as everything else is over at Sandy Bay Farm, that's just where we have to spend most of the time. What we probably should focus on is buying many fields at the bottom for the multiplayer series, which is coming very soon, because then at least I can do the multiplayer videos around, you know, field 44, 26, that kind of area, instead of up at field number 3 and 4. But it's just the way it is really. It's just how it's worked out. As I know many of you have noticed already, this lorry has probably been the most useful vehicle on this map so far. We have probably used it nearly every single episode without fail, whether it's transporting an excavator, you know, moving bales, or maybe using the tipper on it. It's always had a use. It is very handy, and I dare say we're going to be using it quite a bit again in the future. Now where is the telehandler? Where has it gone? Actually lost it. Oh, it's still coming very slowly. Well, we'll park this up here. By the time we've parked up, had a cup of tea, it may be about here. Oh, there it is. Very slowly crawling up the road. So once we've put this away, we'll obviously finish off field 13, and actually, all we have to do then is let it grow. We can then hire the forage harvester and the header, then finally do our maize harvest, which is likely going to be in the Easter special. Can't really see any reason why it wouldn't be. Today it's obviously Friday, so yeah, next time we play this map is going to be Sunday. Easter special day. Tomorrow is multiplayer, and I'm still trying to decide whether or not to do multiplayer or ETS on Sunday. Either way though, it's going to be good, I hope, as long as we don't do too much repetitive stuff. What I don't want to do is do a forage harvest in multiplayer and do the exact same thing on Sandy Bay, as that's going to get pretty boring fairly quickly. Oh no, just realised, if we're going to do this ourselves, we have to go and fill it up. The good thing about using a worker is it could just bind the seed on the spot. Oh well, doesn't really matter too much. We've got plenty of time on our hands, and this job is actually going to take about 3 minutes. Very quick. Now I did initially say we're going to do that field over there, but actually what we've got here is plenty. We don't need to have so much maize. Oh yes, also thank you to everybody who did notice where the workshop was. You see what's so good about doing these videos? I don't really have to hunt about for something because I know my subscribers are going to tell me anyway. It's so useful. Probably not the way I should do it, taking the easy option there, but it is just so handy. Like, I did say that there is like a workshop up here behind us, but then it turned out not to have the trigger. Many people then said it's near to the sheep. I still haven't seen it. Must be here. It's either in here or in here. Let's just see. Where is here? That's the good question. Here it is! We have found here. Brilliant. I'm talking rubbish again. this does happen from time to time. We don't really have any particular reason to be in here, it's just I was trying to discover where it actually was. But now we know. That is great. Let's refill. The seed refill point is just over in this area. And again, we don't really have to fill it up to the top. It's a bit of a waste really. I would say about 50%. It's good. Okay, off we go. Back in the field, this is going to be so fast. Thankfully the worker has done most of it for us anyway. I don't really like using workers too much, and I don't think many people who watch my videos like when I use a worker. But when you've got some pretty big fields, or if you've got lots of other stuff to do, it is a great option. And also, using this seeder on the back here is actually really good because it's got the fertiliser mixed in, which means we don't even have to fertilise this. Now we did already start with the muck spreader, but because we've only got one fertilising stage enabled on Sandy Bay, really, we didn't have to do that, but still good. So, let's finish the job. Doing about 9.3 kilometers per hour. It's pretty good, really. So, you can see this is a worker doing the job. It doesn't really miss anything. It's a much better job than what I could do, unless of course we use GPS. I've taken over the job again. Like I say, it isn't really worth the worker doing it, although it does a good job. When it gets to a stage like this, it just makes a bit of a mess really, so it keeps getting confused. And in some ways it is faster to do yourself, just depends what you're doing really. If you've got other stuff to do, the worker is still perfect. My chair has decided to start a squeaking sound, sorry if it disturbs you in the videos. But we have come very close to the end of this episode. Unfortunately, there isn't really a great deal for us to do until this is fully grown. Now stay tuned, because on Sunday, when we do the Easter special, that is going to be around an hour long. It could be slightly more or slightly less, not too sure. But what I'm aiming to do really is do about 20 minutes of each map or game, depends what it is. There'll certainly be 20 minutes on Sandy Bay, and then possibly Drummond Farm, possibly multiplayer, and possibly Euro Truck Simulator 2. Just depends what I feel like doing on the day, or a couple of days before it will be. But nonetheless, there'll definitely be 3 different things done, and it'll be roughly an hour long. So definitely worth staying tuned for. I'm gonna have to get the old WD-40 out. Find the squeak on the chair, unless I've sat on a mouse, of course. It could be a possibility, really. So the worker didn't actually subsoil this corner here, but that's fine. We've already got a massive area to do. All of this field needs to be harvested, plus the field just in front of us there. So yeah, it's going to take more than 20 minutes. I've got 20 minutes allocated for the Easter special, but really, I don't know. That video is only going to be very long. I'm going to have to cut a lot of stuff out. I haven't really decided. Obviously we don't have too much, because if I have too much in the video, then, well, there is a risk of there being way too much maize harvesting. I think the best thing to do is probably a few time lapses, and then obviously show you some in real time as well. But that is this field completed. All it has to do now is grow. So let's head back to the yard, and then I think that is going to be it. I'm not too sure. I might look for another job to do. Now we do actually have the Krone Big M still for about half an hour more real time, so we could use that again next week. Obviously not before the maize harvest is done. Once the Easter special is out of the way, this is going to return to an interactive series. So the last 10 episodes on single player will be interactive, and then obviously the 10 episodes after that will be multiplayer. So really you're going to have a great influence on the rest of this series, which I think is going to be pretty good, instead of me just making all the decisions. But at the same time, we don't want to just keep doing loads of random jobs, because that's technically how we get into debt. So we do have to be very careful. Let's put this here, and yeah, I think that's going to be it. Some time has passed. As you can see, it is now 20 past 11 at night. What we have to do is make sure the milk does not sell, because if the milk sells we're going to have to wait another day, another cycle to be able to recover it for the honey milk, and as we know honey milk can be worth quite a bit of money. So we're going to attach to the slow bee tanker, and then we're going to take what we can do out of it, out of the what would it be called? Tank, I suppose? It's just like this little pumping station underneath the ground, but I suppose it is like a tank. So yeah, let's pump what we can out of here. I'm hoping it's going to be pretty good. That's concerning. Ouch. That has got to hurt. That really must hurt. I feel so sorry for you, cow. Well, with the cow problems out of the way, let's just do what we can here. To be honest, I can't even look at that because it just looks so painful. I'd hate to see its face on the other side. It's a good job this is a game. Okay, let's fill it up. How much do we have? Obviously the rest of what we, everything we put in here will be taken to the honey milk place next time. 58%, that's pretty good. So now nothing is going to sell. That's getting up. Stuck in the wall still though. Oh, it's fine. It's fine. No animals were hurt in the creation of this episode. Almost walked into the tanker now. It's a crazy cow. Anyway, yes, that's going to conclude today's video. Thank you for watching, and until next time, see you again very soon. Bye for now.